sociologists interpret the society and how different sociologists study the society. Today we will discuss that what types of information and data used by the sociologist. So we have different types of information which they used in their research. The first one, we have hypothesis setting and the revision. Hypothesis states your predictions about what your research will find. This is all about predictions, that what is the topic of our research. It is a tentative answer to your research questions that has not yet been tested. For some research projects, you might have to write several hypotheses that address different aspects of your research questions. A simple hypothesis is like a statement made to reflect the relationship between exactly two variables, one independent and one dependent. For instance, smoking is a prominent cause of lung cancer. Now, in that example, the dependent variable is lung cancer, and that is basically depending on the independent variable, which is smoking. The next one they used in their studies is the pilot study. So pilot study is the first step to the entire research protocol and is often a smaller size study assisting in planning and modification of the main study. This is just like a summarization of the whole study before moving ahead, before starts a new and the long research. This is something which is like a testing of the broader study. In a large scale clinical studies, the pilot or the small study often precedes the main trial to analyze its validity. A pilot study is like the first step of the entire research. So this gives a short overview and the complete overview. Either sociologists or researchers should go for these studies or not. The third point, which is survey population. Survey population is that the part of the target population from which information can be obtained in the survey. All those to whom the finding of the study will apply and from which sample is chosen. In a sense, is data all about individual units, for example people or households, are collected in the population. In a survey, data are only collected from sub part of the population, and this is simple known as sample as well. The fourth point we have is the data collection. Data collection is the process of gathering and measuring the information on variable of its interest in an established systematic fashion that enables one to answer stated research questions, testing hypotheses, and evaluate its outcomes. Data collections normally refer to the instrument or device used to collect the data, such as paper questionnaire or computer assisted interviewing system. Case studies, checklist, interviews, observations, sometimes survey or the questionnaires are these are some kind of a tools which basically used to collect the data. The fifth point, after collecting the data, we have to evaluate the data. Data analysis or data evaluation is the process. Data evaluation basically is a process of systematically applying statistical or the logical techniques to describe and illustrate the recap and the data evaluations. For example, data analysis is like whenever we take a decision in our day-to-day life by thinking about what happened last time or what will happen by choosing that particular decision. This is nothing but analyzing our past or future and making decision based on it. The last one is selecting a sample frame. Sampling mean selecting the group that you will actually collect data from in your research. For example, if you are researching the opinions of the students in in your university, you could survey a sample of 100 students. In statistics, sampling allows you to test hypotheses about the characteristics of the population. Sampling is like a process or the techniques of choosing a subgroup from the population to participate in the study. It is the process of selecting a number of individuals for a study in such a way that individuals selected represent the large group from which they are selected. So these are some kind of information they basically used whenever they study the society. We have different kind of methods in our research. There are basically two types of research: primary research and the secondary research. If we talk about the primary research include questionnaires, interviews, experiments, case studies, longitudinal studies, participant observation, non-participant observation, content analysis, triangulations. If we discuss the difference between primary research and secondary research, primary research, those research which the data which you have to collect, while in the secondary method you already have a data in a form of some kind of publications. If you want some kind of a data, you can go through the websites, but in primary research you have to collect it you have to collect the data by yourself. For example, the questionnaire. Now, what is the questionnaire? Questionnaire is a list of questions or items used to gather the data from the respondent about their attitude, experience, or opinion. Questionnaires can be used to collect the quantitative and or the qualitative information. Questionnaires are commonly used in the market research as well as in the social and the health sciences. They normally like questionnaires normally offer fast, efficient, and inexpensive means of gathering the large amount of information from sizable sample volume. If we talk about interviews, interviews is a qualitative research method that relies on asking questions in the order to collect data. Interviews involves two or more people, one of whom is the interviewer asking the questions. There are several types of interviews, often differentiated by their level of structure. The third we have basically experiment. Experiment is a procedures carried out to support or refute the hypothesis or determine the efficiency or likelihood of something previously untried. Experiment provide insight into cause and effect by demonstrating what outcomes occur when a particular factor is manipulated. Experimental research is research conducted with a scientific approach using two sets of variables. The first set act as a constant which you use to measure the difference of the second set. Quantitative research methods, for example, are known as experimental. The next we have case study. The case study is a research approach that is used to generate in a depth, multifaceted understanding of a complex issues in its real life context. It is in an established research design that is used extensively in a wide variety of disciplines, specifically or particularly in our social sciences. The next we have longitudinal studies. Longitudinal studies, like cross-section studies, is observational. So once again, researchers do not interfere with their subjects. However, in a longitudinal studies, researchers conduct several observations of the same subjects over a period of time, sometimes lasting many years. For example, let's say the study is about 1970 British cohort study, which has collected data on the lives of 17,000 British since their births in 1970, is one of the well-known example of longitudinal study. The next we have participant observation. Participant observation, normally known as PO, is a research methodology where the researcher is immersed in the day-to-day activities of the participants. Normally, they observe the phenomena in their day-to-day life routine. Example of this form of participant observation include the studies where researcher lived for a long period of time among the different ethnic, cultural, or religious communities. On the other hand, non-participants observations involve observing participant without actively participating. This option is used to understand the phenomena by entering the community or the social system involved while staying separate from the activities being observed. The difference between participant observations and non-participant observation. Participant observation is when the observer becomes a part of the group that is being studied. This type of observation allows the observer to get a closer look at the group and their behavior. However, non-participant observations is when the observer remains outside the group and simply watches their behavior. Content analysis, the next one, a researcher tool used to determine the presence of certain words, themes, or the concepts within some given qualitative data. Using content analysis, researchers can quantify and analyze the presence, meanings, and relationships of such certain words, themes, or the concepts. And the last we have some triangulation. Now, triangulations refer to the use of multiple methods or data source in the qualitative research to develop a comprehensive understanding of the phenomena. For example, a relationship between two siblings can be triangulated by parents when the siblings disagree. And for example, the relationship between a couple can be triangulated when one partner rely on a child or the parent for sports and communication with the other partner. That all the headings comes under the headings of the primary research methods. Now, if we talk about the secondary research method, secondary research method is also divided into two parts: the quantitative research methods and the qualitative research method. Quantitative research method simply, as name suggests, the something that you can count, and the qualitative which you can't count but you can, of course, you can observe. The quantitative research methods, the data you can find on the national and the local government stats. You can find national and at the local level. Government stats, hard and the soft statistics. Hard statistics are those which are free from errors. For example, the birth rate and the marriage rate of the pupil in the society. You can find this data anywhere, but this data is comparatively is authentic. But if we talk about the soft statistics, you can find the hard statistics and the soft statistics anywhere, but the soft statistics maybe consist of some errors. For example, if you want to collect the data about the criminals records of on a certain objects in the society. While if we talk about the secondary research methods in qualitative research methods, this is something you can find from the letters, diaries, biographic from any celebrities or the private documents of any individual. But here the data can be biased. You can't rely on the letter, diaries, and whatever we mention over there. You can't rely on this data because the data can be biased. So this is all about the chapter number 1, which is research, which is basically theory and